let's get this into projector mode. Get down to some business here. All right, so I was going to do a quick little presentation on gamification and engagement. The reason I was going to do this was simply because I've seen it work, and I'm sure the gaming industry, EA Sports and all them, they've seen it work too, so much so that it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that actually is starting to dwarf Hollywood and film. So I read this article this morning in HIMSS, and it kind of said a little bit about, oh, it's just a passing fad, it's not really working, and everybody's jumping on the gamification. Well, I'd like to say it's because they're applying game mechanics and gamification to, A, crappy, unengaged organizations, but they're just thinking that they can basically put a bunch of badges and a bunch of sticky stars on top and call it good, and that's not what gamification is. It really, in essence, is about engaging people at a human level, engaging people in organizations, moving people from that have-to column over to the want-to column. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about. Just a simple, I'm going to demonstrate this in a very simple way, something that's fun and exciting that people engaged in. And I'm going to start to elaborate on what the focus was and how you can do this in your own organization. So, we did a Plan, Do, Study, Act, and if you guys know what those are, PDSAs we refer to them as. But the plan was to basically send out a simple puzzle and how many people will engage. That's what we wanted to know. To do that, we first sent out a question prior to that was related to work. And the question was, did you guys get your narratives done yet? These narratives that we have to upload to a national site, and we basically had to say these are the projects that we're working on. Well, we sent this out about 30 minutes prior to this first question, and it was crickets. Now think about this. This is something that these people are paid to do, and they're too busy to really answer their emails and say, oh yeah, I'll, get her done later. And if you were to call out there, I'm sure they are busy. They probably have patients and whatnot. But either way, they're paid to do this, and you think, oh, we'll just, they'll answer it quite quickly. So we basically made a prediction that people would engage quicker if we did something that was a little bit different and changed the way we thought about things. So I know it sounds a little bit corny, but the idea was to send out an email, and the email is actually on the right, saying, hey, here's a fun one, nice puzzle. See, you can guess how many squares there are without Googling it. If you think you know the answer, let us know. And our idea is that they're going to come back a lot quicker. And this is how they responded. So within 50 seconds, we received our first response. The average was about one response per minute. Most people made multiple guesses. 3 people answered correctly the first try. By responding instantly with feedback such as, hey, you're really close, or a good guess, but not quite, people stayed engaged. So we were able to actually keep them in flow a little bit. 85% of the people we emailed, and I'm pretty sure that some of those ones that didn't respond weren't even in office that day, responded. They replied right back, which was pretty staggering considering 30 minutes prior to that we asked them a question that was actually related to work and that they got paid to answer, and they did not respond. Here is something: nobody is paying you anything to answer this question. But the interesting thing that we saw was not only did they try to take a stab at the question, but a percentage of people actually replied back with their own puzzles. So they took it to the next level, if you will. So I guess the conclusion is the concept of gamification for engagement is pretty powerful. People as a whole are greatly attracted to challenges. And I don't want to just read off this thing here and make it sound stupid, but I think really what we're able to do is show that if we can incorporate game mechanics into little things we do, and we focus on engagement, and we focus on making it fun and challenging for people, people will get into it. If we make it too gigantic and too complicated, they won't. They'll lose. They'll get out of flow too quick. If we make it too trite, too easy, they'll just disengage on that level. So you got to have just this right Goldilocks kind of application to what we're doing. And then once you're in it, you got to ramp it up slowly so you keep them in flow. So we decided to start actually doing this with all aspects of the work that we do. First, concentration. The first level of concentration that we were going to do and really focus on was looking at ways to respond instantly, creating more dynamic systems and give that feedback necessary to do their jobs. So anyways, I'm just going to talk a little bit about why this is important and why it kind of works and where we are kind of missing the boat a little bit. So here's an equation for you guys. Engagement is greater than adoption, is greater than usage, is greater than metrics. So a lot of times we focus on the end. We're focusing down here on the metrics. How many PAP screens are we doing? How many mammo screens are we doing? How much money are we billing out for? How much money do we have accounts receivable? We're way over here at the wrong end of the spectrum. We need to get over on that end of the spectrum where engagement. So if I guess I'm looking down on this video camera, so I'm going to just be that way. But anyways, we need to start focusing more on engagement and less on the metrics. Because if you focus on the one, it will slowly trickle down and you'll get the other. Here's what it kind of looks like if I was making it equal signs right after it. Engagement is you're an enthusiast, you're into it, you're an evangelist, you're a fanboy or whatever they call these. You're the person that's going out there telling everybody about this and you're really engaged at a very, very high level. The next one's adoption. Adoption is really loyalty. Adoption is like, hey, you know what? I really like the electronic health record that we're using. I don't think we're going to use anything else. I'm really into it. Compliance and usage, these are hand in hand. This is an organization saying, hey, you guys got to do this. Okay, we'll do it. And metrics is really a form of accountability. You're really sticking it to people saying, hey, are you using this? I can log on and see that you're not utilizing this. So again, let's focus on engagement and all the other ones will come. If people are happy doing what they're doing, they'll get the adoption, you'll get the usage, and you'll finally get the metrics. And what does it look like? And this is again why it's important in your organization. By applying some of these very simple aspects of focusing on what the experience is for people and how they interface and interact with like their electronic health record, you can really leverage it to your advantage, and it will change the system. So here is metrics. The one end of it, focusing on experience and engagement. This is what turns out the other end when you do it correctly. So here, if we look at some of these measures, we have diabetic lipids going from about 65% to 90% of the population screened. We look at things like cardiovascular disease down the far right. Meeting that measure bundle was very difficult. You had to have like 5 different things in that comprehensive measure to meet it. They went from 10% up to about 70%. These are big jumps in a system, and this is across the whole entire board. These people weren't necessarily focusing on measures and the metrics. They were focused on we were focusing on being engaged. We were focusing on how can we do this? What's a great way to do this? What's feedback? What do you guys think? How would you like to do that? And then we just supplied this at the end, this form of feedback back to them, showing them, hey, you're making progress towards your goal. And I think that's what we can learn from this. So with that being said, I'm an improvement advisor, and I'd like to help your organization kind of do a little bit of the same stuff. And a lot of these principles, again, are pretty simple. And let's see if we can apply them to your organization and do something fun, creative, and cool. Thanks.